Coming to you live and direct from Now Valley Entertainment.
What's up, boxing fans? This is TBE Boxing, back at you again. Yeah, I was off for a little while. I take a little break, take care of some business, but now I'm back in the game. So let's get right to it without wasting any time. All right, Mikey Garcia versus Robert Easter Jr. last night. Great fight. Kind of went as expected. I believe that Mikey was the favorite in that fight. So we get to see Mikey do his thing again. All right. I mean, the fight was a good fight. Robert Easter put up a good fight. He did his thing. Although I think that he probably used the wrong strategy in this fight. I know the strategy going into the fight was to fight tall, uh, use the jab, and he did that for the most part. Okay. The only problem with that is that that wasn't going to really stop Mikey, just using the jab. But he had to, he used the jab, but he didn't really do anything besides using the jab. That's the way I see it. I mean, he used the jab somewhat effectively, but in order for the jab to be effective, then you have to follow it up with, with other punches, like combination, left hook, like the way when Mikey threw the right hand and then dropped him with the left hook. That you have to follow up. You can't just throw one shot or just one jab or two jabs out there and expect that's going to keep somebody off of you. And especially somebody like Mikey Garcia, who has different looks and who can adjust. So he did. I mean, Easter did the right thing in using the jab, but he didn't follow up with the combinations, and maybe he couldn't follow up because of the way Mikey was, neutralizing him. But I think that if we had seen a little bit more of the old Robert Easter, the one that that get down in there and bang with you, it probably would have been a different fight. Not to say that the result would have been any different, but it probably would have been a more. He probably uh, Easter probably would have landed some more shots on Mikey, because Mikey, is there. He was coming forward, so it wasn't like, he was moving away from Easter. So I think in this case, I think the old Robert Easter, the one that people were saying he shouldn't fight that way, like he shouldn't fight below his height. We need a little bit more of that Robert Easter in this fight. We needed more of him digging in there and taking it to Mikey, which he didn't really do. He basically, he tried at times, but for the most part, he just used the jab, move around a little bit, block shots, and then try to come back. But Mikey kind of neutralized him to a great extent, and he couldn't really do what he wanted to do. So that's what I saw in that fight. I mean, I thought that Mikey was going to win the fight, but I thought that Easter would give him a tougher fight than he did. He did give him a tough fight, but it could have been tougher. And I think that the results wasn't really in doubt as far as Mikey winning. I believe for most people, myself included. But I thought that Robert Easter, I respect Robert Easter a lot. He got a lot of skills, and I thought that he would do better against Mikey than he did. But to tell you the truth, after the Fortuna fight, in other words, before the Fortuna fight, I had a higher opinion of Garcia. I mean, not Garcia, but of Easter, than I did after the Fortuna fight. After the Fortuna fight, I saw that there's a lot of weaknesses exposed in that fight. And he didn't really, from that fight to this fight, I don't think he really made the adjustment to deal with those weaknesses. I mean, he fought he had a decent strategy in terms of the jab, but he just couldn't really, his jab gave him some good, he had some good jabs in there. He landed some good shots with the jab, but he didn't really follow up and he wasn't able to take advantage of what the jab presented to him, in terms of being able to get to Mikey. He didn't really follow up with anything that could get to Mikey, and Mikey just did his thing like he usually does. It was fundamentals, 1-2, left hook, but I did see that Mikey was doing a lot of head movement in this fight. He made some adjustment. I guess that jab was giving him some trouble, so he tried to do a lot of head movement to avoid the jab, and he was pretty successful. But at the end of the day, I don't really think that Mikey. I don't really think that. Basically, Broner beat. Mikey beat Broner, and after Mikey beating Broner, I don't really think that Easter would be able to beat Mikey. Okay, for the mere fact that because I don't think that Easter can beat Broner. Okay, they do say that style makes fight. So just because one person beat another person doesn't mean you can beat the next person that person beat. So it is what it is. But you have to look at it, realistically. And I just thought that, I think that Broner is a better fighter or a stronger fighter than Easter. And, he's a bigger fighter as well in terms of bulk. I don't know if he's a taller fighter, but, he's big. So if Mikey could have made the adjustment to beat Broner, I just felt that he would be able to beat Easter, and he did, Now, the only surprise to me is that he didn't stop Easter. I thought he probably could stop Easter, but Easter is a lot more durable than I gave him credit for, and he was able to avoid, and he could take a shot as well. That knockdown probably could have knocked a lot of guys out, but he got up, which shows that he had real heart, and he's he's real strong. He was in good shape, good condition, because he got up after that. He wasn't just a one punch; it was a 2-punch combination. And Mikey's not a powder puff puncher. He can punch. So he gave. It was a good shot, right and left, and he still got back up. I was, that kind of shocked me. Not shocked me, but I didn't know that Easter was that. I know he's a good boxer, good fighter, and everything, but I didn't know he can take a punch like that, or that he had that much, grit. He's a tough kid, and he showed it in there against Mikey. But at the end of the day, Mikey won the fight as expected, and now he's talking about fighting Errol Spence. Now, that should be an interesting fight. Everybody know what I think about. Who have listened to me know what I think about Spence. I have respect for Spence. I thought that Brook was going to beat Spence because, like I said, I hadn't seen anything from. I had not seen anything from Spence that would make me believe he could beat Brook, because in terms of people he have fought, not in terms of his natural talent or his skill, because he has some skills and he has some talent, but I didn't really think he had the experience or the fights in his repertoire to be able to beat somebody like Brook, who was at the top of the game at that point in his career. So he proved me wrong, and he beat Brook. So and he displayed a lot of things in that fight that I thought that he didn't really have. He could move going backward. He can fight going backward. All of the criticisms are things that I thought that he didn't really show. He showed them in that fight. Okay, he showed a full repertoire of skills that he had, but it's just that he doesn't really use them in every fight because he doesn't really need to. A lot of the guys he fight, nobody has really challenged him like the way Brook did in order for him to bring out those skills, and so he doesn't really do that. He just go in there, take them out as quick as possible, and that's that, which is that's the way it's supposed to be. So right now, to me, Spence is the top man at welterweight, and he's the guy to beat at welterweight, and you know, he's the number one guy because he beat the number one guy to become the number one guy. So he's the number one guy right now. And I mean, I hear people talking about, you know, Thurman. Thurman got to get back in the game. He's been out too long, and you know, I would have to rate Spence above Thurman, even though Thurman got 2 titles because of his inactivity and other issues. But this is for another clip. I'm not going to talk about that right now. I'll talk about that I'll do a Thurman video, and we can talk about Thurman. Right now we're talking about Mikey. So Mikey decided that he wanted to fight Spence. Now, a lot of, you know, I have some thoughts about that, and I'm going to lay them out. Now, I listened to the after the fight, the post-fight interview with Mikey, and they asked him about, you know, why he wants to go up there and challenge Spence, and he said basically that's the only fight that excites him right now. You know, now I don't know about that. I mean, there's a lot of fights out there for Mikey, you know, in the welterweight, junior welterweight, you know, division. So to go after the top dog, moving up 12 pounds, you know, last time we saw that was what Book did against Golovkin, did the same thing, and we saw the result of that. Now, I mean, going up to 140 is one thing, but to go up to, we're talking about 12 pounds, go up to 147 and then fight not just any 147 guy, but the biggest guy, the toughest guy at 147, I don't know about that. I mean, now, you know, I understand the psychology behind it because, you know, just like the way Book, the Book fight went, even though Book went up and lost, he got a lot of respect because of that. And, you know, but it cost him a lot as well. Okay, I mean, you know, he got injured, and then he got injured again in his next fight. So, you know, we don't know if Book will be the same again. You know, we'll have to see what happened. You know, he looked like he lost a lot of confidence as well after those 2 losses. But that's another story again. Like I said, we've got to stick with Mikey for right now. So fighting Spence for Mikey is a bold challenge. And, you know, and he talks about the fact that that's the only fight that could really excite him right now. But, you know, we got to take a pause at that and really look at it. I mean, there is somebody out there closer to Mikey than Spence, and that's going to be an exciting fight, and that's Crawford. So why isn't Mikey talking about Crawford? I mean, I don't get it. That would be an exciting fight, you know, and I would give him a good shot against Crawford, but I think for some reason, and I've heard this from other people, you know, that he doesn't want to fight Crawford. Okay, I think that of all the people out there, I mean, it really says something about Crawford when Mikey is telling you that he'd rather fight Spence than Crawford. I mean, wow. I mean, that's major. I mean, you know, so that means that Crawford must be a real monster, you know, and I guess Mikey's camp and Mikey himself probably figured it's better for him to move up 2 weights, fight a big guy like Spence, and if he loses, you know, everybody will say, well, hey, what did you expect? You know, just like they did with Book. You know, he went up against the top man Mikey is going up against the top man at welterweight, the bigger man, twice as, you know, 2 weight divisions. How can he expect to win? And so if he loses, it won't be as bad as if he was to lose to, say, Easter. Okay, if he had lost to Easter, that would have been like, oh yeah, he lost to Easter, you know, Easter. But if he loses to Spence, everybody's gonna say, hey, that's to be expected. What can you expect from the man? So it would be a better loss, and it wouldn't really take nothing away from his legacy per se. Okay, so from that perspective, which is probably the same thing that was going on in Book's mind when he went up to fight Golovkin. Because from that perspective, I can understand the fight. You know, him taking that fight. Wanting to fight Spence, you know, from that perspective. Okay, now let's take Mike at his word Okay, I mean that's my opinion, but let's take Mike at his word. He wants to fight the best, and he wants to challenge himself against the best. Okay, let's look at the fight. I mean, Spence is big, okay, but I don't think he's 6 feet tall, like Robert Easter was. He's not as tall as Easter, but he's bigger than Easter. So from the height perspective, I don't think it's gonna bother him that much, okay, because he fought taller guys than Spence in Easter, for example. Now the power, the weight differential is probably going to be big. Now, I mean, Mikey is not a big lightweight. He's a lightweight right now. I'm not even sure if he's junior welterweight or light. He go back and forth, but he's not a big guy. He don't have a big frame, and on top of that, if you notice, Mikey is never really like cut. You know, he's always he's a boxer. So I mean, I don't really believe that a boxer has to be like, you know, look like a weightlifter to be a good boxer. But, you know, when people are digging in body shots, it's good to be, you know, have some kind of six-pack down there to kind of protect against those ripping body shots. But he doesn't seem to bother Mikey too much. And I've heard that from his own mouth, really, that he doesn't really do push-ups or sit-ups or none of that. So, I mean, I don't know how he does it, but I mean, how he take those punches to the body if he doesn't do push-ups or sit-ups or none of that. No kind of, you know, I don't know how he does it. I mean, it's amazing to me if that's true, okay. And but you know, by looking at him, you can, you know, it does look, that seems to be the case. Cause he never really well defined, you know, musculature or nothing like that. He just you know, looked like an average guy, you know, but he's not an average fighter, that's for sure. So this fight, you know, I mean, the saying goes that a good big man will beat a good little man, and I tend to agree with that. You know, Spence is a good fighter all around, had all the skills in the world, and so does Mikey, but he's a lot smaller. You know what I mean? And that's going to make a big difference, I believe, in this fight. And now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that Mikey has no chance against Spence. Okay, I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying that it's going to be a difficult fight for him, the most difficult fight of his career. Maybe again, then again, maybe not. Who knows? You know, in boxing, anything can happen. But it's going to be a difficult fight. And we don't know. It's not like we're going to get a chance to see him fight another fighter first to see how well his skills translate, you know, into welterweight. You know, to see where he's at. We're not going to see that. He's going right to the top to fight the top man. So we're not going to be able to tell if he can make the adjustment in weight and how he looks at that weight. Okay, we're not going to see that, and so he's just going straight up there. So it's kind of a difficult to judge, you know, how he's really going to do, and you know, we can only base our judgments on speculation because, like I said, he doesn't really. There's nothing to really. We're not going to have a way to tell if he had made any improvement, or if he can stay at that weight, or if he has power at that weight. The only way we're going to find out is when he's actually fighting Spence, which, you know, is kind of, you know, I mean, I don't know. So it is what it is. So I would expect that Spencer should win the fight, you know. But if anybody can give Spence a good fight, I mean, if anybody has the skills, I mean, Mikey has the skills. I mean, you know, he does have skills. I mean, he does have a little power. Now, what that power is going to look like at welter, we have no idea. Okay, and so, you know, it's hard to really judge. But he does have some skills, and he could probably give Spence, you know, some work. How much work, we don't know. Can he beat Spence? It's possible. Okay, I mean, I'm not, you know, I'm not one that believes that Spence is unbeatable. I just think that, you know, like I said, I mean, I thought that Brook would beat Spence, but he didn't do it. And Spence displayed a lot of, he displayed a wide repertoire of skills in that fight against Brook. I mean, you know, I mean, everything that I said that I never saw in Spence, I saw it in the fight against Brook. He did everything that could, you know, he did everything in that fight. Okay. and he did them well. And he showed skill, he showed toughness, he showed grit. I mean, he showed everything in that fight. You know, it's no accident why he's where he is, and it is what it is. I mean, right now, you know, Spence, the Charlos, Andre, boxing is exciting again. I put it to you like that. You know, okay, boxing is really right now in boxing is very exciting, especially the junior welterweight, middleweight, and welterweight, and even lightweight division. There's a lot of excitement right now, and I'm loving it. You know, and so I'm looking forward to this fight with Mikey Garcia and Spence, even though I think that it's probably a bridge too far for Mikey Garcia. But then you never know. I mean, we'll see. Yeah, like he says, you know, he fought all kind of different type of fighters, and he's made adjustments. Especially his fight against Broner was a very good fight, and he showed a lot of skill in that fight as well, so that he can fight bigger guys. Okay, you know, he has done it. So we'll see what happens. But you know, I mean, I would have liked to see him at least try to fight maybe one or two fights at welterweight first before he go up against Spence. But he's determined to take Spence on. He feels that he sees something that he can, you know. I hope it's just not him trying to avoid fighting Crawford while he's going straight for Spence. Maybe, you know, some people might look at it like that, and you know, it could be something like that. Maybe he's just trying to avoid Crawford. You know, I mean, I think that the natural. But then again, you know, we have to look at it like this as well. If you really take a look at it, I mean, Spence is the more inexperienced fighter. He's a more inexperienced fighter in terms of, you know, how he's been boxing and who he's been fighting in the game compared to Crawford. So you'd say in that between Spence and Crawford is really the veteran. You know, he unified is the 140 pound. He demolished the lightweight as well, and then he moved up to welterweight and beat the welterweight, well, probably the weakest champion welterweight, but he still was a champion. He beat him. So Crawford is probably, you know, the most experienced fighter compared to Spence. Okay, and you know, so maybe he feels that if he goes after Spence right now, while Spence is, you know, hasn't really fought a lot of big fights yet, maybe he can take him out, you know, before he gets too much experience, you know. But I don't know about that. You know, I think that might have that strategy of that, you know, scenario might have worked before the Brooks fight and maybe another fight before that, but not right now. I think Spence has basically gotten all the experience that he needs, and I think that he's a dangerous guy at welterweight. I don't think, you know, it's gonna be that easy to beat him. You know, even if you were a regular welterweight. I mean, I don't really see any welterweights out there. I mean, I think Thurman could give him a shot, give him a fight, you know, but we don't know what's going on with Thurman right now. And I'm talking about fighting Spence. So, you know, he's kind of out of the picture right now. So basically, you know, Mikey is making a daring move, and you know, I mean, you know, to have that much confidence in yourself and your skills, you know, to go up against a big guy like Spence, I mean, you got to give him credit. You know, you got heart. I mean, you know, and so we're gonna see what's gonna happen. Maybe he sees something in Spence that, you know, we don't, and he think that he see a weakness he can go against, you know. But to me, the next fight for him should have been Crawford. But I don't think, you know, I've heard that he doesn't really want to fight Crawford because Crawford beat him in the amateur or something like that. I heard Crawford beat a lot of guys in the amateur, including Thurman. So maybe that's why he's going straight for Spence, and he think that's. But I don't really think that he doesn't really want to fight Crawford. I think he'd take the fight if the money's right or whatever. But I think that he believes that Spence has more weaknesses than Crawford does, and that's basically what I think it is. I think he believes, even though Spence is a big guy, strong guy, I think he believes that Spence has some weaknesses that he can exploit that Crawford doesn't have. But only time will tell if what he's saying is, you know, what he's thinking is true or not. So we're gonna see. So It should be an interesting fight. I'm looking forward to it actually, and hopefully it happens soon. Well, congratulations to Mikey on his, his latest victory. Congratulations to Robert Easter. He put up a good fight. It was a great fight. I liked it, and a lot of people liked it as well. And I'm looking forward to the next one. That's all for me right now. I'm going to sign off, and we're going to talk about some more boxing on my next video, which is probably, well, who knows what it'll be, but I'll be back with another video very soon. This is TBE signing off.